This is another quick video to show you another function of the VLE which may be useful in supporting remote learning particularly. The idea of all of these videos is to try and create as dynamic and as interactive a set of VLE pages as possible so that our students can interact with lots of material in one place. Now to that end, one of the things that we're going to be looking at in this video is the creation of a new page in which we can start to build in interactive quizzing. Now this is quite a complex operation, so we're only going to deal with some of the more basic elements of that today. Now you should be able to see my cursor moving here, which should aid us with some of the page creation. So I'm going to move that down to the bottom left-hand part of the page here, and I'm going to click upon Create, which will create a new page for me. Now within this, I'm going to call this a test questionnaire, test question page, which gives a title to my page so that that title is displayed in the menu bar, which will be displayed eventually over here. It will be nested within this section of the VLE support page for me. Obviously, one needs to have editorial rights to a page in order to create new pages. For the different academic subject areas, the heads of department have that editorial right, and in a separate video we will show you how to allow others to edit different pages. However, for the moment where we're building this page, we've put in our title here, test question page, and now we're going to create the sort of page we want. Now, here we've got a number of basic pages. Simon Norris is going to build a separate video which talks to you about blog pages. But here I am going to go to more templates, which is down the bottom here where I'm pointing the cursor now. If I click on more templates, what I would like to do is to create a class test. Now I'll talk a little more about why I do that in 1 second, but let's click task test on there and click done. And then where I've titled my page, if I now click done, it creates this new page for me, and as you can see, it's picked up the page title as the title of this page. Now here, up the top in the editing bar, this allows me this function. So you can see where my cursor is pointing to question up on the top left-hand side of the editing bar. I'm going to click on question here, and as you'll see, this allows me to add questions of various kinds. Now I'm going to talk you through 3 of these functions, the 3 that I think are the most useful for most teachers. So to begin with here, we have a multiple choice question. Now ordinarily with this, I would be adding these questions onto a VLE page in relation to some stimulus material. So I may, for example, already have put in a file, an article, for example, that the students might have read, or a video which I've embedded, which they've watched, and then I might be adding questions afterwards to see whether they've gleaned some information from that. So let's imagine, for example, here that I've already embedded a video in, and I'm going to imagine if you have already watched the video on embedding a YouTube video that I created for you, then we're going to imagine that I am watching the Colin McCann video, which I showed you how to embed previously. So I'm going to put in, my question is going to be, what is the name of the author in this video? And then I'm going to add a number of choices. So I'm going to have 4 choices here. And the first of them for me is going to be the correct answer, Colin McCann. And I'm going to click next to it here, correct. Now I can have more than one correct answer to a question if I wish. I simply have to indicate which ones are correct and which ones are not. But for the moment, I'm just going to make it a simple yes or no. And here, for example, on the second one, I will put other Irish writers, so James Joyce, which is clearly not correct, Edna O'Brien, and Colm Turbine. Now, could even spell Contabine correctly. Okay, so once I've done that, if I click Show in Random Order, then, as it would suggest, it randomizes that order so the correct answer doesn't necessarily come first each time. Hereafter, I could also add in a brief bit of explanation to what the correct answer is. So, Colin McCann is the author in the video. When I've done that, and I'm happy that I've got it set up correctly, I can just press Done. And as you can see, that appears, and we can see here where it's randomized them that James Joyce in fact comes first. It's randomized that order nicely for me. Now, if I want to edit that question, if I just go on, and you can see here, my cursor has turned here into this cross device. So I'm just going to highlight that, and you will see this cog function come up. I'm going to click on the cog function now, and that allows me to go back and to edit this. Now you'll notice up here, for example, I can assign here whatever mark value I want, because for multiple choice questions, it will in fact mark it for me. But I'm just going to press Done in there for the moment. I'm going to click below here, and then I'm going to add another type of question. The question I'm going to make here is, again, simply asking for the insertion of a quick bit of text. So, what colour is McCann's scarf? A vital literary question. What colour is McCann's scarf? And then I can add an answer to that. And the answer, if you'd watched the video, was in fact blue. And I can, I could make it multiple different answers, but it's not. I could just chuck down here afterwards in there an explanation. McCann was wearing a blue scarf. But of course that could be any sort of insertion of text, whatever works for you. So let's just press Done on there. Then moving on to the next type of question. If I go to question again here, we can insert whole paragraphs. So, why does McCann name his novel as he does? In fact, we'll put in the title there, A Paragon. And then we can add an explanation in. Now notice there, I could assign a mark. This one might be more detailed, so I might give it 3 marks. And then I might say, for example, a paragon is an infinitely sided shape. The shape is used as a motif to express the idea that in complex situations there are as many experiences of them as people there. Now, whatever the explanation I may have might be, I would mark that manually, I suspect, and I would press Done there, and as you can see, that allows me then to get a student to put in some information of a more qualitative kind. Now, of course, that's one where I would have to then go through and mark it myself. But let's say I hit Done here. That then is the page as it should be. Now, I am going to test drive this, and I would suggest to begin with that one does test drive these quizzes oneself before letting students go on it. So I'm going to say incorrectly that the author is Contabine. I'm going to say that his scarf was red. And I'm going to say to the answer of why he is naming the novel as he does, because he liked the sound of the word. Now, when I've done that, I can press Submit. And what it tells me here is this requires further manual marking because, of course, I've got an element to this where there's some qualitative information, the paragraph that I've allowed people to put in. Now, I could, of course, at this point, then, because I'm the creator of this, I can then mark it live. So I can give some feedback here and say McCann is the correct person. I could similarly give that 0 marks. I would give that 0 marks. I can add any feedback I wish. Excuse me. And I can add some more detail and manually mark it there. I can then add a total at the end and some more feedback if I wish to. Once I'm done with that, I can then click that page for Save Marks and Feedback, and it will automatically upload that to my mark book, which of course we also know is available via the VLE. So this allows you quite quickly to produce some marking for somebody. One last thing I wish to show you on questions and how to produce them is if we click up here on the top right-hand page to display report, where multiple people have produced this, I can click upon each mark, I can mark them if I want to manually, and then when I've done it, I can highlight this person, me in this case, and I can release the submission with my marking and feedback back to them. Similarly, if I click on here at the bottom, I can get either a summary report on who's done what and when, or a full set of the responses, all of them on a single Excel sheet, allowing me quickly to see who's done what. Now that's, of course, very useful if you're setting a multiple choice question, which can self-mark, where if you assign the correct answer to something, then it marks it for you and it produces for you very quickly all of the marks in one go, who got what right, who got what wrong, so you can analyse the level of their understanding quickly. This is quite a sophisticated tool, particularly when used in combination with other techniques. Now I'm just going to click back here, View Test. That takes me back to the page that I've just been doing. What I'm going to do here at the bottom is I will display the report again, rather than at the bottom. I'm going to go back and display the report. If I'm happy that that page works, then what I think I'll do is to just tick me there, and I'll take out my submission to clear that form of me so that I don't later jam up the report when I set it for a group of children. So if I just hit delete submission there, then I go back to the test, that has cleared it out. If I'm not happy after that test drive, then if I hit back on edit page and we wait for a moment, on any question, I just have to highlight it and hit that button, the cog in the corner here, and this comes up and I can edit it or I can move these questions about. So I'm just going to press done there. I can, of course, move different questions to different parts. So if I want to reorder them, I just move one down and I can change the order in which they appear. When I'm done, I hit done, and then I can use that quiz. I hope that's useful. Obviously, pause, rewind it, have a look as you need to. You can ask me questions, you can ask Simon Norris, you can ask any other more confident user within your department, or indeed go to the IT department. I hope that's been useful for you in putting some of this information into a single source. Thank you very much for listening.